This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah. This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
This hour sponsored by Better. Better Picks, a daily fantasy sports app where your sports knowledge turns into real cash fast. Download Better or visit better.app now. Sign up today, get free $10 and no deposit necessary. Download Better now.
All right, this is a great way to start the hour as professional poker player David Baker joins the program now. He and his partner won the Westgate Super Contest in 2020, the same year they finished second in Circa Millions, almost pulled it off there as well. His podcast is called Gamble Up, and he loves playing Survivor as well. David, good afternoon. Thanks for the time as always. How are you?
Doing great. Excited to be here. Finally feel like starting to get a feel for this NFL season. Got off to a little rough start in Circa Millions, but kind of rebounded back at 12-8 and, back alive. Feels like alive after some rough starts week 1 and 2. Definitely seemed like the whole contest struggled. So I'm glad to be back into it. One of my favorite things to do every week is, figure out those 5 picks.
Why do you think it turned around for you maybe a week or two ago then?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I still having problems with the Chiefs. I keep wanting to fade them every week, and they've kind of made me pay the last couple of weeks. But I don't know, just kind of, I think I got a little survivor brain for a little while and started picking some of these terrible teams because I wanted to root for them to pull the big upsets. And now kind of putting that aside, maybe just kind of looking a little bit more at some of these better teams. I think we're really seeing a big division in the NFL between the good and the bad. Obviously, there's several there in the middle, but I don't know. I found myself liking a lot more favorites last week, and came in pretty strong, so I was pretty happy with that. Obviously, there's always going to be dogs in the NFL, and it's probably going to win. They kind of win 50-50 anyway, but it feels like some of these bad teams are kind of even worse than we thought.
Do you think Seattle will be on your card? Playing at home, Tampa banged up, so many guys hurt, and the Seattle defense is for real, and extended rest.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the games I'm looking at, which is kind of one thing that I've really tried to live by the last several years. Especially, it kind of started the year that we won the Super Contest, but I call it the rule of don't be stubborn. And we can all have takes, and they can change. The NFL is a constantly evolving and changing game, environment, league. And, if you've listened to any of the things I've said, I've been pretty down on Seattle for the first several weeks. But, rule of don't be stubborn. And I'm not going to be stubborn. I think they're a pretty good team now. The defense is playing really strong. The offensive line is a lot better than I thought. And I think I kind of underestimated the injury concerns in a few games previously. So I think a lot of things are really coming together for Seattle in this spot. They're coming off extended rest. The Bucks played a physical team in Philadelphia, and now they have to go across the country. And you're only having to lay a little over a field goal, considering the juice. So, you kind of lay in 3.25 here with a team that I kind of think at this time is better than the Bucks, and we're getting a significant rest advantage, and we're getting a significant issue with who Tampa played last week, and they have the injuries. There just seems to be a lot of things that are kind of lining up for Seattle here. Seattle really hasn't played a tough team or a tough game in several weeks. Meanwhile, Tampa's played Houston, very physical team, Philly, a very physical team. The Jets were even strangely physical in that game. So I think a lot of things are really pointing me towards Seattle. It's definitely on my short list of games that I'll be putting on my card this week. That
don't be stubborn line should absolutely be on like a gambling shirt for sure, because you have to be able to change your opinion on the NFL. It's only a 17-game season, so it goes by like this. My team would be the Colts. I thought there was a chance that they were going to be god-awful this year with Danny Dimes, and I flipped. I mean, I was my biggest takeaway from the Rams game is they're good. Are you in the same boat?
Yeah, I mean, don't be stubborn doesn't really apply to the Colts here. Actually, it kind of did, because I've been down on the Colts for the last couple of years. But I came into this year, I've kind of been a closeted Danny Dimes fan. You kind of got to put that away when he's getting booed out of town. But I've always kind of thought, well, not always, the beginning I didn't, but for his last couple of years in New York, I kind of thought he was getting a raw deal. Like, we see so many guys that run through the New York quarterback scenes. They're just brought way up and then way down instantly. The media there is relentless. They have unreasonable expectations. And I really thought that Danny getting that those few months with Kevin O'Connell, being able to leave that scene, going to a situation that, Shane Steichen has, he was really good with the Eagles as the offensive coordinator, and him, I think he just kind of got put in a bad position with Richardson, who's just not ready to be an NFL quarterback. I mean, he really, talk about a guy who could have used an extra year of college to figure out his throwing. And so I think we all kind of soured on them, but the pieces were there for Indy. So this didn't really surprise me. So, a lot of my priors on Indy are kind of coming to fruition.
The Survivor Sweat Pod's always great, and several of you are in the Grandissimo contest. No, you can't give away secrets. Are you considering the Rams, and do you think the Rams will be popular in Survivor contests?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have to consider the Rams. I think that, these projections, I think the Survivor Atlas projection is significantly underestimating the appeal of the Rams this week. I personally think that they're going to come in excess of 20%. So the real question for me is who is that stealing the ownership from? Is it stealing from people who are looking at the Cardinals and saying, man, I faded them the first couple weeks versus the Saints and the Panthers, and I did so because I don't believe in this team, and I really just don't want to play them, but I was kind of forced into it maybe with Tennessee, and now I have a reasonable out? Or are people looking at it and saying, you know what, the Colts, they may have some better spots, and I'm not fully bought into this Daniel Jones resurgence. Maybe this is a good spot for me to pivot on the Rams. I mean, the real thing comes for me is looking at each individual entry that you may have and what does your future value look like? If you've taken Arizona and Seattle and maybe Jacksonville and some of these teams that are probably near the bottom of the usable team list, then I could see really going for the Rams. But if you've kind of pigeonholed yourself and you've used the Eagles and the Lions and, the Ravens and the Bills and a lot of these teams with future value, then this might be a time where I might want to try to not play the Rams and maybe look at one of these teams that are kind of on the fringe of ever even being used in Survivor. And that's kind of where you would look at more Arizona, maybe Minnesota, maybe the Colts, maybe even go down to Seattle if you haven't used them yet. I think they're going to be a reasonable pivot. I think I'm starting to hear a lot of people really like the Seahawks this week. And, anytime you have a line north of 3, they make in between 3 and 5.5 is kind of like the logical spot for the contrarian plays. So I could definitely see Seattle getting a little contrarian love this week. They don't have a ton of future value.
Do you think a lot of them will be on the Rams in Grandissimo tonight?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if over 20% is on the Rams. I think the Rams make a very logical spot here. Also, you tend to have a sharper group in Grandissimo that are looking to avoid bottleneck spots. And if you use the Rams now, you kind of avoid the most logical spot, which I think is week 9 when they face the Saints at home. Yeah. So a lot of the paths that people are creating in their Survivor entries come from, it's very easy to sit there and you plot out the best scenario. And it's like, okay, well, the Colts have Tennessee I think it's week 8 or week 7, and the Rams have the Saints week 9. It's very easy to say, well, let's just use somebody else this week and use those. But you're really looking for spots that you can kind of fade some of these high ownerships, because the only way that you're ever going to get down to a point where you have some reasonable equity in this contest is if a big owned team goes down. So you're really trying to find each week a reason to not take the most owned team. And the reason that they're most owned is because they're A, most likely to win, or B, they have the least amount of future value. So a way you can kind of do that is if the Rams were only 12%, this is a perfectly great pivot. So you kind of force yourself to find a different route on week 9 when, upwards of 40% of the pool could be on the Rams. So if you play them now, you might get, a sub 20% Rams, and then you're avoiding a 40% Rams slot a few weeks later.
Excellent.
Yeah, very good.
I can listen to you all day talk about this. Tell people about the podcast.
Yeah, so on 6:45 on Saturday nights, we do a podcast. You can reach it through the Survivor Sweat YouTube channel or the Survivor Sweat X. And we're all big fans of the Survivor that Circa runs. And every single one of us tune in to Derek Stevens and Jeff Benson talk about the unveiling of the ownerships. And we all put together our own projections on what we think the market's going to do. And then we get on it. You guys are done at 6:30. We get about 15 minutes to put our thoughts together. And 6:45, we hop in and we have, 4, 5, 6 guests. Pauly's been on there multiple times. And we discuss how the contest broke down and, what we thought about it and what our entries were. And it's a great time. Come and hang out with us.
Very good. David, love talking to you. Thanks so much for the time today. And best of luck this week, all right?
All right. Thanks, guys.
There you go. David Baker on the Progressive guest line. We'll update the live betting numbers now because we had something happen in the Tigers-Guardians game. We'll tell you about that. And my biggest question I have for betting K-props tonight is this.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We have action in this Tigers-Guardians game. They play right now in Cleveland, top of 7, and the Tigers have opened up a can. They lead 6-1 right now with 1 out, and they have runners on first and second, and they have scored 4 in this inning. What was that prop at Caesars Will Hill before the playoffs? Will any team score more than 6.5 runs in any inning? I believe the number was 6.5 runs.
Correct. $1.50. There was also consecutive hits by one team, 4.5. Didn't they just get that?
They are on 3 in a row right now.
It's only 3? Okay.
Yep.
All right. I thought there was more than that. Oh, the Carpenter was intentionally walked. Okay.
Yeah, so it could continue here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because an intentional walk would not interrupt that prop, I don't think.
This is rough. I was hoping for 2-1 deep in the game, but the Cleveland bullpen has not cooperated. And a 6 seed about to move on.
Well, now the total, by the way, is 9.5 in the game.
Yeah, right. And take on Seattle on Sunday night.
All right, well, we got that one wrong earlier when we said the under 5.5, 6 in that range looked like a good bet. It is not a good bet because the bullpen here for the Guardians could not keep the Tigers at bay for the rest of that game, and it's getting away from them now, obviously. But here's a reason why, and I have a couple of bets in the Red Sox-Yankees game tonight, but the reason is because both of these young pitchers have great stuff, and Schlittler throws 100. Early is a big strikeout guy, 13 Ks per 9, but he only pitched 19 innings. They're both rookies. So I just wanted to have, and the K projections at VSiN.com are high on both guys tonight. But in this game, Ciccone was pulled at 2 1/3 innings. And at that time, now that went, he had 2 guys on and 1 out when they yanked him. He had 47 pitches in. Jack Flaherty was kind of cruising along. Mm-hmm. He was through 4 2/3. And by the way, in that 5th inning, it went line out, walk. After the walk, he was at 74 pitches. Hinch said, that's enough. So that's the thing. What kind of that's 1-1. That's the game at that point. That's not trouble.
Yeah.
But this is an elimination game. And this is why I'm kind of treading lightly, but wanting to get some of the action down in those 2 guys tonight.
I think you got to let Cam go. And with how bad their bullpen has been, and they made it interesting and almost spit it up last night, I just think you got to let this kid go deep into the game. And I like his K prop over. His outs prop is 11.5, and Early's 9.5. And he's been so good, but it's just fascinating. It's just the second time this has ever happened. 2 rookies going at it in a winner-go-home game, and it's, Red Sox, Yankees, all that, the rivalry. And Cam was from Boston area and was at the parade in 2004. And now here he is trying to take out the Red Sox as a Yankee, and he's had such a strong season. So if I'm Boone, I got to let him go because I don't trust other guys behind him. But the question is, if something happens, who are those guys to come in and save the day? I'm talking early. I mean, if you got to throw someone out there in the third, fourth inning, who's it going to be? Who do you trust? I don't know for Boone.
Who's one of the starters that they could rely on?
I don't know.
You're not going to go to Fried, obviously. He pitched in
Can't
game
do
one.
Fried. No, can't. You don't have much on. Don't have Reed. Rodon.
Yeah.
Heel didn't make the roster.
That's right.
I mean, you're really up against it here if you're Boone.
In this spot, you would think that Heel would be a guy that, okay, if Schlittler is in trouble, they can go to Heel, but that's not an option now. So if you're going to go bullpen after bullpen, and by the way, the great line by Matt Vasgersian so many times is you're going to throw out like 7 relievers.
That's right.
They all have to have their A game.
That's right.
Like, how possible is that?
Mm-hmm.
I guess, it happened last year in the Dodgers against the Padres series where it was a bullpen game and the Padres suddenly couldn't hit, but I don't like the chances of that happening overall. And again, it's going to be kind of a chilly night tonight in the Bronx. I looked at the weather a little earlier, hovering around, low 60s, maybe high 50s in the game. Could be, not great for hitter conditions in this spot. And like I said, early on the year, 13.5 Ks per 9, Schlittler 10.5 Ks per 9 as well. I think Early can get, you said his outs prop is 9.5.
Yeah.
So even if he stays under, let's say they pull him after 3 innings, I think Early, based on what he has done so far, he's still good enough to go over 3.5 Ks, even if he goes like 3 innings and that's it. Now, I would prefer if he goes 5 or 6, obviously, having over 3.5 in pocket, but he did this last start, I think, had 4 Ks after 2 innings.
Mm-hmm. So both guys went under in the first game, but they didn't get a lot of time, although Flaherty got almost 5 innings, as you mentioned, but had 4. And then to see you, Darvish, priced at 3.5. Like, how many guys are you going to run out there, and do you trust based on what happened yesterday, too? We had to use so many guys.
I think they've used, 9 relievers in the first 2 games of this series for the Padres? And Miller.
I don't think they can use. Never pitched 3 days in a row.
You know
Maybe
what that does? Like
a couple outs, but that's another one.
That's the thing. Like, he would probably have to win the manager over there based on not having the history of doing it. And as a big fella who goes out there and all that torque with the velocity, and he's touching 105 miles an hour, I don't know if they really want to take the chances of that in a do or die game. But could be wrong.
Right. Well, these are the best games, though. Just the unsung heroes. A guy, a bench player comes up with a big hit. Someone out of the bullpen saves the day. Tyone's K prop was 2.5. He got 1 in the first. Darvish already got a strikeout. So maybe you get a surprise hero, and a guy like this goes 6 strong innings and is a big reason why they win.
Well, now this game here is going to go over the Tigers and Guardians game. What'd that close at for the full game? You mentioned that?
I think it was 7.5.
Okay, so let's say they need one more run to go over here, and they have the bases loaded right now with 1 out. But for the most part, the Dodgers-Reds series was the one series that had a bunch of runs in the 2 games. Mm-hmm. The game going on right now, the other one, the Padres and the Cubs, that series hasn't really produced much at all. And the Red Sox-Yankees has been like every pitch is so huge.
Yeah, every total was 7.5 here for these games.
Oh.
At the expected low-scoring game, and that's what should have happened in this one. And then the Cleveland bullpen has just been atrocious here. But
they could use those 2 guys that got in hot water.
Yeah. But that's why the night game is so fascinating, too. I mean, there was a ton of firepower here with these lineups. And you're putting a lot of confidence and some of these injuries are just enormous in the bad timing.
Right.
Because with the Yankees, your third guy's supposed to be Rodon, but you lose Cole. Red Sox, your stud pitcher, a guy who did a hell of a job, was Giolito. Oh, he's hurt. So now you're going to the kids, and you don't know what's going to happen tonight.
Well, okay, so have you changed your tune at all on Aaron Judge with his props tonight? He's delivered here so far with the hits.
He's had some good at-bats.
Yeah.
I would say walk is definitely a good bet, what you recommended earlier. A walk or 2. But I not necessarily don't want home run, but I would say if he does something, it's over the probably 2 total bases.
Yeah.
A couple singles or a double or something like that.
And I don't know, would you look at that or the hits, runs, and RBIs to go over 1.5 as well?
Yeah.
I think does he have to get that done with an RBI and a hit? Like, is anybody... Well, he's batting second overall, so it's going to have to come down to Bellinger and the guys behind him to drive him in once he gets on base. That's a higher juice that you got to pay on it anyway than total bases usually.
Yeah, it's 2 minus 120. Okay. And total bases is 2 is plus money at DraftKings.
Well, the Guardians got 2 outs there, so 2 more outs, I should say. So they close the inning, and they're going to go now and take their licks in the bottom of the 7th, down by 6-1.
Okay.
Is the score.
The Ohtani prop has moved big time. He is 14.5 over minus 190 now. And at DraftKings, the Dodgers are $1.30 to win the series.
And you saw...
It was $1.30 the other way.
The other way last night.
At Will Hill and Caesars.
The first book I saw was Westgate here in town. They opened up Dodgers minus 120. And then, Caesars on the other side. Flip it a good 50 cents there. I like LA. Yeah? I'm super concerned about the bullpen, but...
Yeah. Well, Philly's bullpen wasn't
I know
great either down the stretch. But
I just in both these teams...
Well, I'll tell you.
So here's the thing. Are we going to get runs in this series, even though the pitching is like...
Well, I can't remember who it was, but as our guest said, whoever we talked to, the first 5 unders would then get involved. It was a Palm, then get involved in play because these bullpens are so bad.
Yeah.
But it's like Jordan Scott tweeted us last night while the game was going on. 90-plus pitches in the 8th inning in the 2 games for the Dodgers.
So how do you clean that up?
And it's, let's be real. There's a big difference between the Reds and the Phillies, too, and those lineups.
Oh, so Paul, come on.
Yeah. So when you bring these guys out to try to retire this Phillies lineup, good luck. No lead will be safe also. The same thing.
Jensen's going to join us here and coming up in 5 minutes. Jensen Lewis, former Major League pitcher, one of the hosts in the morning show here on VSiN. We got to ask about, what's the game plan here with Sasaki? There's a chance here where he's going to allow, nothing in the entire playoffs.
And you could come out back-to-back days and give him a couple innings.
So is that,
multiple innings.
But do you make him like a 2-inning closer?
Yeah.
Do you actually say, well, we're going to use him I
like that too.
6, 7, and 8, but then who do you close the game with? I think a 2-inning closer with that guy might be the option.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. Better Picks, a daily fantasy app where your sports knowledge turns into real cash fast. Download the Better app. Pick more or less on your favorite player stats, and if your pick hits, you win. New users get a free $10 just for signing up. No deposit required. And when you make a deposit, you earn up to $200 in bonuses. NBA, MLB, soccer, UFC, golf, and more. Head to Better.app. Download Better in the app or Google Play Store. Promo code VSiN for your free money and deposit bonus today. Get better now.
The funny thing is, the Dodgers bullpen last year in the playoffs, they were completely lights out, and they went and got better in theory in the offseason, and it's done a complete 180.
Yeah.
So we'll ask Jensen Lewis about that coming up next. Again, former Major League pitcher and host of VSiN By The Books in the mornings here with Dave Ross on VSiN. What would his advice be to Dave Roberts to fix the bullpen issues moving forward?
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
All right, heavy baseball here as Jensen Lewis joins the program now. Former Major League pitcher, host of VSiN By The Books with Dave Ross. Mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern right here on VSiN. He joins us on the Progressive Guest Line. Jensen, thanks for the time. Good to talk as always, my friend. We were just talking about this in L.A. What does Dave Roberts do with the bullpen issues moving forward? Pauly documented this. 90-plus combined pitches in the 8th inning alone in games 1 and 2 against the Reds. We both love Sasaki. What would you do if you were Dave Roberts, or what would your advice be to him moving forward with the pen?
Yeah, great to be with you as always, boys. Last day I can wear the old Cleveland sweatshirt after what's happening there at Progressive Field. So here's my rub is the difference in scheduling now in the division series, guys, where you'll have the day off between game 1 and 2 and 2 and 3. It really allows Dave Roberts to perhaps extend Ohtani a little bit in game 1. And then if he wants to go bulk, whether it is Kershaw, if you send a starter outside of Glasnow and Snell and Yamamoto, I think those are probably your 4 starters headed in. It just gives you an opportunity where you can maybe use one guy for bulk. But I still feel, and I was trying to read into a little bit of the manager speak in the press conference yesterday. I think Sasaki is going to be his guy, and it won't shock me if it ends up being Sasaki for the 8th and 9th. Game 1, 8th and 9th, game 2, just because you have those off days built in. It allows Dave Roberts way more flexibility than having to rely on Trinan and Vesia trying to piece it together there. So I think you get a little more extended out of Ohtani. He's been utterly unhittable, and I would anticipate the same if Glasnow is a game 2 starter.
Okay.
Oh, very good. Yeah.
And so you would not be afraid to use Sasaki in the 8th and the 9th in the first 2 games of the series.
Yeah, the rest days make it so much more palpable, Mitch, to where you can allow him to really empty the tank. He doesn't have to save anything, if they had to play game 2 right off of that. So that would be my early read on it without knowing what their NLDS roster construction looks like. But that's kind of the prevailing sentiment of when he got into AAA and he was doing the relief routine. You always do that as a reliever anyway. You do the up down and just kind of simulate it. So it won't shock me if that's the way they go.
Do you think Roberts will have Clayton Kershaw on the roster for this upcoming series? Would you have Kershaw on the roster?
Yeah, personally, I would, but and that is the key is, is it for him to come in for a clean inning when, it is Schwarber and Harper, the lefties up there. If that's kind of where he's designated, that allows you to save Vesia for later in the game. And I think in his heart of hearts, that's kind of where Doc Roberts would want to go, is instead of having to use that bullet early, then I think you can extend Kershaw. You get him through the lefties there. He's already, well-versed in having to sit down and get back up. So, yeah, I think that's a viable avenue for that roster construction.
All right, I can't wait for this game tonight. Winner take all with 2 rookies, second time it's ever happened. A young Jensen Lewis, 23 years old, walked into Old Yankee Stadium. You can share that story. But so if you're the managers tonight, number one, you can talk about how difficult this is for being a young guy, especially early, that you've had to do this before, and take us through the emotions. And on the flip side, if you're a manager, though, how long would you go with these guys and say, okay, at the first sign of trouble, he's out, or this kid's got some guts and moxie, I'm going to see if he can give us 5?
Yeah, and I guess on the game, Pauly, this was the one under that I really liked because I do feel with kind of what we saw from Alex Cora last night, I did not expect that quick of a hook for Brian Bayo, but that gives me a window into he kind of wanted to end the series last night. Didn't get a chance to do it, but that tells me where his MO is. Any sign of trouble, Connolly Early is probably going to get the hook. Now, he's been really good against lefties, and so the initial lineup here from Aaron Boone, I think, I don't know how you can't have Ben Rice and Jazz Chisholm in there from the get-go. That's just me, but we'll see how it plays out. For me, as far as the emotion and what these guys, Early and Schlittler, will be going through, I can remember I came in the bottom of the 8th. This was game 3 of the division series back in 2007. And usually, Mitch and Pauly, I would get the 3 hitters I was going to face from Louis Isaac, our bullpen coach then. For whatever reason, I didn't either hear him or I did not register who I was facing. It was Derek Jeter, Bobby Abreu, and Alex Rodriguez. And it finally hit me when Victor Martinez threw down to second. And then I Run New York came on over the PA, and that was Jeter's walk-up song. So
you didn't know until then?
You can imagine the adrenaline at that point. And ironically, that was my highest velocity of my career. I punched out all 3 of those guys, an A-Rod on a 96-mile-an-hour heater at the top of the zone to finish the inning. And, hey, I was 23. I didn't know any better. I was just trying to get outs. I came in the dugout, and I think it was Jason Michaels and Paul Bird. They came over because I was at the end of the dugout. They came over and sat next to me. And they're like, "Do you know what you just did?" And I said, "Yeah, you got 3 outs." They're like, "No, you punched out, like 2 future Hall of Famers and maybe the most all-around, left-handed hitter in the game right now in Bobby Abreu." So I knew then, back when we had the flip phones, guys,
yes,
I had like 100 text messages, 50 voicemails. You know how it kind of goes there. So it's the best inning of my career. It's been all downhill since.
Yeah. No, hold on. Because I recall that when you left the mound, you pulled the Fernando Cruz from last night, right? Or am I misremembering that?
I think I was a bit more subdued, but probably inside of me, Mitch, I was straight Fernando Cruz with emotion. That's for sure.
Okay. Yeah, you do that if you strike the guy out, not if you give up a bomb to center.
Yeah.
That almost left the park. Who celebrates? Oh, yeah, all right. He almost hit a home run off.
He took like 90 seconds. It was like Vince McMahon walking to the ring, strutting out there. Conor McGregor.
Oh, my God.
I couldn't believe that he was doing that last night.
I know.
Okay, so you like the under, right?
Yeah.
You bet you have under 7.5?
I took an alternate. I didn't want to get the hook there. So I bought up, guys. I have the under 8. I found it at $1.35. Just kind of seeing how this has gone down to the wire the first 2 nights. For all intents and purposes, we should have had 2 extra inning games, both in game 1 and game 2, but really yeoman's work by these bullpen guys, Chapman on game 1 and then Bednar there in game 2. So again, for me, and back to your original thoughts, guys, if I'm both managers and I'm telling my starting pitchers, I'm not worried about length from you guys. I'm worried about efficiency. I'm worried about staying ahead in the count and just collect outs. Don't even think about it in innings tonight. Just collect outs and we'll kind of baby step this thing forward. So I think that's the pace that if both these youngsters are on their games tonight, they'll be very mind in the moment and not worrying about going 1-2 times through the order.
Okay. Would you stay away from K-props altogether?
You was talking about this with Dave this morning, Mitch. I was looking at the outs recorded. I'm like, how can you even have the volume of hitters to even want to jump around it? Like, I get it if you're looking at early and the lefties up there because he's been so good against that. Schlittler has had his moments. So to me, and to each their own, I'm not jumping in any of that. If anything, maybe looking at the only way I would either be a yes run first inning, no run first inning, depending on what you feel like. I don't have a good read either way because, again, you're dealing with 2 rookies out there. Who knows what their heart rate's going to be like when they take them out.
That's right.
Totally fair. So what is your reaction to that Dodgers-Philly series price? Again, it opened up in town here last night at the Westgate. Dodgers -120 at Caesars and Will Hill. It was the other way. Phillies were -130. So the Dodgers are a small favorite now pretty much.
I'm more wary, and I think it's priced right. And again, I think that off day is really an advantage for LA just because it allows them to do a lot of different things. I'm also anxious to see the health of Will Smith here coming in because, he was a guy that was so critical to that lineup success. And, here we go. All of a sudden the Dodgers in October are raking again. The other part of it too is, hey, listen, Duran's been really good in the back end there for Philly, but Rob Thompson has been, you talk about K props and you talk about outs props. That's where I would go, Mitch, is I would look more to over outs props for the Philadelphia starting pitchers because that's been Rob Thompson's MO all year is let him go. He's got faith in him, and they may just not have the guys they trust. They won't openly say it, but I ironically have to trust the Dodger bullpen right now over the Philly bullpen, and that is a scary thought.
What?
So both rotations are really good.
Wow.
And I just think that you're going to allow, if I'm Philly, Christopher Sanchez go as long as you can. If it's Luzardo, figuring out what you kind of want to do, behind that. I think if you're Philly, the deeper your starters get, they got a better chance to win this series.
How about this now? Darvish has
nothing.
the bases loaded in the bottom of the second. Nobody out.
No, he just threw a wild pitch.
Did he?
He's all over the place here.
1-0 now.
Yeah, this is a debacle here in the second inning.
Yeah. By the way, quickly here, Jensen, do you think if they need to go to Mason Miller, could they? A guy who throws 105, who pitched back-to-back days, or is he not available?
Morihone and Miller both available, guys. Estrada too. To think about someone who's going to be fresh. I would think I would have had him ready to go first out just because of swing and miss capability. I don't think you can go more than 2 innings again today with either Morihone or Miller. It's too hard to do.
Yeah, totally agree. You can catch Jensen's reaction to the action tonight and the look ahead to upcoming series beyond this in the second round of the playoffs tomorrow morning on VSiN By The Books with Dave Ross. It starts at 7 a.m. Eastern, 4 o'clock out here on the West Coast. Jensen, thanks, my man. Enjoy the games tonight.
Thanks, boys. Talk to you soon.
Be good. And he was on the Progressive Guest line. Up next, best and worst teams in the NFL and college football ATS. What a clash this week in a team 4-0 to the over takes on a team 4-0 to the under. Details coming up next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
All right, to reset the games going on right now in the baseball playoffs. Tigers 6, Guardians 1, bottom of the 8th, but the Guardians have runners on second and third. 1 out?
2 outs.
2 outs now?
Huge for the total.
Okay. And
Big at bat here.
The Cubs right now, they can really blow this open against the Padres. Darvish already got yanked. Cubs with a 1 run across. They lead by a score of 1-0. Bottom of 2, bases loaded, nobody out. Swanson's at the plate.
I mean, come on, Darvish. You can't put him behind the 8 ball like that.
Give him no chance.
He got 3 outs. Are you kidding? So he comes out in the second inning, single, double, hit by pitch, single, and that's it.
Yep.
So you're right. The Cubs, give me some drama. Don't tell me we're going to have 2 blowouts here and winner take all games. Don't do it to me.
Are we going to get 3 blowouts, Pauly? My God.
Not.
You're going to be so depressed tonight if the other game turns out to be 6-0.
He's walked in a run.
Yeah. Padres bullpen, huh? They just showed it. They have 10 strikeouts so far in the series. The bullpen, Miller's got 8 of them.
Well, you're right. This is it right here. You just absolutely can end the game right here and get out of hand. 2-0, nobody out, bases loaded.
Yep. All right, so the best and worst teams right now in the NFL and college football against the spread. Here are your teams that are 3-1 right now, ATS in the NFL. You have the Eagles, Lions, Colts, Jaguars, Chargers, Rams, and the Seahawks. But not all 3-1s are the same. For example, the Eagles are covering on average by a point, and yet they're 3-1 against the spread.
Uh-huh.
The Seahawks are covering on average by 10.4 points per game. I get it. They blew out the Saints, but still on average covering by 10.4. Detroit and Indy covering on average by more than 9 points per game. The worst teams in the league against the spread. And you have a bunch of teams that are 1-3. Denver's actually 1-2-1. Depends on where you grade that one game.
Yeah, I know. It's
early on.
You want to grade the opener, that's a winner. Where it closed, it's a loser. Yep.
Houston, Vegas, Baltimore, the Saints, Titans, Bengals, 1-3 ATS, and now Cincinnati is missing the cover on average by 14 points per game. On average. Tennessee missing the cover on average by 10.4 points per game. And the Saints missing by 6.3 points per game. Your best teams to the over in the NFL. Baltimore.
Yeah.
4-0, not close. Pauly, take a guess on average how many points they're covering the over by so far.
12.
16.
Wow.
On average, their games are going over by 16 points per game. That's bonkers.
Yeah.
Saints, Bills, Steelers, Bears, Vikings, Dolphins, Jets are all 3-1 to the over. Your best teams to the under? Well, how about the Ravens at 4-0 over? They get the Texans this week.
Yeah.
They are 4-0 to the under. And by the way, their game staying under on average by 13.4 points per game.
That is impressive.
So which way would you lean?
With Cooper Rush, I'd have to say it's going to be an under.
I wonder if Baltimore's defense is so bad because of the injuries that the Texans offense can actually look good this week. And they were good last week in the second half, but is it a spot for guys like Stroud and the receivers to get healthy here? And the backs. Everybody.
Should be. It's a fair-bearing game, I'll tell you that.
Okay. And the teams that are 1-3 to the under, actually check that. I'm sorry. 3-1 to the under. Atlanta, the Chargers, Denver, the Giants, Cleveland, Arizona, and Green Bay, all 3-1 to the under. By the way, Green Bay staying under on average by only 1 point per game.
Yeah, some late game shenanigans. Yeah.
All right, we go
Garbage
to
touchdowns. Yeah.
College football here. And these numbers are always absolutely crazy because teams can cover on average by like 30 points per game in college football. But the best teams in college football, ATS, and we have 4 clubs that are 5-0. Memphis.
Wow.
On the list at the very top. La Tech, Utah State, and Mississippi State. And all 4 of these teams are covering by more than a touchdown per game. Memphis, Utah State, and La Tech covering by double digits every single game. The teams that are 4-1, James Madison, Ole Miss, Oregon, Vanderbilt, Illinois, and there is a plethora of other teams at 4-1. You can always go to VSiN.com and check this stuff out for yourself. But some of the best 4-1 teams, Vandy's covering on average by 15 points per game. North Texas by 12.5. Virginia by 12.5. And your worst teams in college football against the spread. At the very top, you got Georgia and Penn State. They're 0-4 ATS. SMU, Clemson, Georgia State, Sam Houston State are all 0-4 ATS. And by the way, Clemson, Georgia State are missing on average by about 17 points per game. SMU is not covering by 10-plus points per game. The 1-4 teams ATS, Baylor, Arkansas, Kansas, And you got Virginia Tech on the list as well. Best teams to the over that we have in college football. And I'll try to run this down as well, like how many points are going over on average. But you have Tennessee, Rutgers, and Virginia, all 5-0 to the over. Tennessee's going over on average by 21.5 points per game. Virginia's by 15 points per game. Rutgers by 14 plus.
Wow, that's impressive.
This is crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Air Force is 4-0 to the over. They're going over on average by 24 points per game.
It was a good call last week by Paul Stone pointing that out. How bad? Look at the last 2 games. Hawaii and Boise.
Yeah, and they allowed, 530 yards to Hawaii last week? Notre Dame's on the list, obviously, at 4-0, going over on average by 18 points per game. Florida State's 4-0, going over on average by 16.6 points per week. USC is on the list, 4-1, going over on average by 11.4 points per game. Arkansas, I think I mentioned Duke, Missouri, and that's the full list there. The best teams to the under. You got Florida at 4-0, on average staying under by 15 points per week. You have Northern Illinois 4-0 to the under.
You see that last week?
Oh, 6-3?
6-3, they lost to San Diego State.
And they are staying under by 15.3 points per game. James Madison is another one. They're 4-0 to the under. They're not on this list right now, but they're 4-0 overall with all their games. And Oklahoma's 4-0, staying under on average by 10.3 points per game. The teams that you have 4-1 to the under: Liberty, LSU, Auburn, West Virginia, Arizona State, and California. And I'm trying to find the best teams in terms of number as well. I think those teams that are 4-0 to the under, staying under by that many points, really take the cake there. So that's your list. 4 or 5 weeks into the season, NFL and college football.
Good stuff. That is great. Can't wait, because now we got NBA starting, little hockey.
Oh, I wanted
to
to point this out.
Sure, go
This
ahead.
is going to blow your mind. Have you looked at all at any NHL futures? I know there's so much going on.
Well, in terms of, what are we talking?
There's a specific market up that you're going to love.
Is it Ovechkin related or?
That, by the way, Jonathan Davis, great write-up on VSiN.com about that when he's going to score. You know what? It's not fair because there are so many possible markets.
Go ahead. What is it?
Circa, and I believe other books are now offering most points in a given month. Much like Major League Baseball, most wins in the month.
Yes.
So they have most points up.
Good.
Oh, that's going to have to turn into something here.
Yeah, study the schedule. Oh, yes. That's awesome.
I told Jeff Davis the most wins per month, and that's my crack. I love it. So now I just got to be like, I've asked you this before on the show. Have you ever considered, you don't know where I'm going to go with this. What are you laughing at already? What do you think I'm going to say?
Go ahead.
Have you ever considered like giving up the NBA and concentrating on the NHL? They're both going on simultaneously. You played the sport. We hear about that 6 times a week. I yelled at you last year saying that you should have been a goalie coach. You know what you're talking about. You spot stuff out there when you're watching games on the ice.
From a props,
Yes.
Yeah, maybe a goalie standpoint. I don't know. There's a lot going on with that. I just think it's so hard to keep up and focus, especially when you're big time into football too. Yeah. All right, we got some juice. The Padres got out of it.
They did.
That was huge. It was 2-0. The bases were loaded, nobody out, and the Padres got out of it somehow. So at least we got, that could have been ugly. You had a big double play to get out of it. Think sports start getting paid for with better picks. The daily fantasy sports app where your sports knowledge turns into cash. Sign up today. Get $10 free. No deposit needed. When you do deposit, you earn up to $200 in bonuses. Better's giving you $40 for every friend you bring in. And download Better right now in the app or Google Play Store, or head to better.app. Promo code VSiN for your free money and deposit bonus. BETR.app, better.app.
I would love to see Pauly Howard in high school as a goalie coach working with 14, 15, 16-year-old kids who could not grasp what you're trying to say to them.
Oh, no patience. It's so bad.
God.
It's so bad.
Oh, that would be like a great, that'd be a great TV show.
Yeah.
Once a week, pop it on.
Issues. And I tell you the Pictionary story with Grandma when we lost and she was drawing so slow and I ran out and said, she can't draw. And I stormed off.
How old were you?
It was 1991, I think. So I was
14, 15 years old.
Superior,
Grandma
Wisconsin.
Can't draw.
I know.
Screaming at everybody else. Throw the board at her. We'll get into these. We'll update the baseball game and then talk about bets that we have in the Dodgers-Red Sox game coming up next.